Recently, about 2 weeks ago, you were sanctioned by the Chinese government. You and Senators Mark Rubio, Ted Cruz, and Congressman Chris Smith, after your outspoken criticism of the attacks on religious freedom in the country. First of all, what was your reaction when that happened?
Well, I considered it a badge of honor, honestly, and the group that I was with. Chris Smith has been an outstanding voice for human rights, religious freedom for decades. Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz more recently, but still strong voices for it. And to be in that company and to get this designation because I was declaring and pointing out the war on faith that the Chinese Communist Party is doing, I deemed that a badge of honor. I will take that. It's certainly nothing for me against the Chinese people. This tie I have on was the one I wore this past weekend at my daughter from China's wedding. So family member of mine, my daughter is from China. I love the Chinese people, but the Communist Party is at war with faith, and communism has been from its inception. So this isn't anything new to communism.
The most recent news coming out of China has been centered on the Xinjiang region in Western China, where the population is majority Muslim. There have been long reports about concentration camps being set up for the population. Recently, the Associated Press did an expose showing that the Muslim population in the region has been suffering forced contraception, a very strict enforcement of a one-child policy, and of course there is the immigration of the Han Chinese population into the region, and other efforts to try to stamp out the culture in this part of China. What has the U.S. government's reaction been to these policies in Western China?
Very aggressive. I think you've seen where we sanctioned Chen Quanguo, the party chairman over Xinjiang, who was previously the party chairman over Tibet. He's been the implementer of these aggressive Chinese policy of at least 1 million Uyghurs in concentration camps, of these systems of observation that even if you didn't have the concentration camps, you've got this system of a digital police state that the Uyghurs operate in. We've also put a series of sanctions on companies exporting out of that region, hitting the supply chain that's using forced labor from some of these concentration camps. The United States government has taken the most aggressive action of any nation in the world to push back against these human rights abuses coming out of Xinjiang. And I would also tell people, it won't stop in Xinjiang. The Chinese Communist Party is going to push these policies and these systems around the world. It's not one thing you can just say, well, that's a remote part of the world and it's hitting the Muslim population. They're hitting the Christian population. They're hitting the Buddhist population. They're hitting Falun Gong. They're hitting the house church, the Catholic community. This will continue and accelerate by the Communist Party in China as they seek to really control how people think and certainly religious activity in their country.
Sticking in Xinjiang, a lot of people have been using the word genocide for what's happening. Would you go that far?
That's an official legal designation by the United States that has to be made by the Secretary. We haven't made that designation yet, but as you can see, we've taken a series of very aggressive acts, and we continue to push aggressively for human rights and religious freedom in China, and we'll continue to do that. But that's a legal determination that's made by the Secretary.
Turning now to Hong Kong, of course, the Beijing government has imposed a new security law on Hong Kong, despite the fact that it's supposed to have autonomy from the rest of China. Are there specific religious freedom concerns you have about this law?
I do. I think they will use this to tighten down on freedoms in Hong Kong, including religious freedom. I was in Hong Kong a year and a half ago. I gave a speech there about China being at war with faith, and it's a war they will not win. They had you have a robust free society, but you can just see that shrinking, and the tentacles of the Communist Party going in. It's something that legally they are bound not to do. There is a binding international agreement that the Chinese government has agreed to allow Hong Kong to be a separate system of one country, two systems. And the Chinese government, the Communist Party, is violating this directly.
There have been concerns. One of the specific tenets of this new law is that it forbids cooperation with foreign influences. People look specifically, for example, at the fact that the Hong Kong bishop is one of only two that can be appointed by the Vatican in China, the other one being in Macau. And also, of course, a lot of what happens in the Christian community in China is with foreign mission societies and Bible societies. Do you think that aspect of the law will be used against Christian communities in China that have connections outside the territory?
I would. We don't have. I don't have things that I can specifically cite to today about that, but I really don't have any doubt that that's the trajectory of this, and certainly that's the feeling and the pressure that people are feeling in Hong Kong. Is that this is just going to be a tightening grip where Hong Kong had previously been an entry point for groups and a base to operate in that region of the world. They're deeply concerned about it, and I am too, that that's no longer going to be allowed.
And just hours ago, the New York Times reported that the Chinese government was spying on the Vatican and also Catholic communities in Hong Kong ahead of a renewal of their secret, the secret agreement that the Vatican has had with China about the appointment of bishops. Do you have concerns about these kind of activities right now ahead of this negotiations between the Vatican and China?
Well, I read that article and saw it, and if I were a Vatican official then and seeing this is who I'm dealing with, and this is how they're going to deal with me, it would cause me great pause to think about how can I trust and work with these other individuals that are spying on me about the agreement and the development of it. So I would really hope the Vatican would look at this and see what they're dealing with. Plus, there was just so much religious persecution of all types going on in China, not just against Catholics, whether the official church or the underground church, but against Protestant house churches, against Falun Gong, against Tibetan Buddhists, against Uyghurs, Muslim Uyghurs. It's a full-scale attack on all faiths. That includes the Catholics. And I would really hope the Vatican officials would look at this and say, this is not a group that can be trusted for us to negotiate and work with how they are operating today.
Finally, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic began in China, has been spreading around the world. Since it has been spreading, the Chinese government has been very aggressive. We've already mentioned Hong Kong, but there's also been territorial incursions in India and across the South Asian border. They've been reasserting their claims in the South China Sea. What is your reaction to this aggressiveness from the communist government during the pandemic?
Well, you've seen a series of speeches by U.S. cabinet officials addressing this. And I was reading the NSC chairman, Robert O'Brien's speech about this. This is the Chinese Communist Party seeking domination in this region and globally. We've seen this play before in the Soviet Union. And I don't think we should, and he doesn't think we should sugarcoat it. any longer. This is an effort of an authoritarian communist regime to dominate, and they're simply acting out what they've stated for many years. But you're seeing it on a very aggressive front in security field. You're seeing it in economic fields, and you're certainly seeing what they're doing to their on their human rights at home, religious freedom, and those issues at home and abroad. They're a country of particular concern on religious freedom for us. That means they're in the worst of the worst category of violators of religious freedom. And this is a government seeking domination and having to do so over its own people and also overseas and abroad.